Hello, and welcome to Algebra, where today we're going to learn how to make some connections. Yeah. All right, so they're going to have things like rules, tables, graphs, mapping, and we got to be able to start with one and get to all the other versions of that. All right, so that's what we're going to learn today. Let's get ready to take some notes. All right, so this first one, it says, given a rule y equals 2x plus 1, they want us to make a table, graph it, and do a mapping. Right, so to make a table, there's no values over here, so what we can do is we can make up our own x values. But we want to make sure that there are x values that can fit onto our graph, so that way we can graph it. All right, so let's see here, an x value I could use. Let's do like -2. I always like trying to pick easy numbers to work with. So, and I like to have one negative, just because that way you can see it on the graph. You can see it on the negative too. So like -2 would be a good one. 0 is a super easy one. 0 is a good one to use. And maybe +2. You could pick any numbers you wanted to, as long as it would fit on our graph here. So you can see our x-axis here goes from -10 to +10. So we want something that we can actually graph, right? We're not going to use -20, because then we can't put it on a graph. It won't help us on our next step. All right, so what we can do is, now that we made up some x values, we can plug it into our equation and find out our y values. So my first one's -2. So I'm going to take this 2x plus 1, and I'm going to plug in -2 for x. 2 times -2 is -4. -4 plus 1 is -3. My next one, 2 times 0 plus 1. Well, anything times 0 is 0, so 0 plus 1 is 1. That's why 0 is awesome to plug in, because it's awesome. Anything times 0 is 0, so it makes it super easy. All right, so now I'm going to plug in my next one. So I have 2 times 2 plus 1. 2 times 2 is 4, plus 1 is 5. So now that I have my table. So now for my graph, I can graph my points that I just made in my table. So -2, -3. So that means I'm going to go over to -2 and then down to -3 and put a point. All right, 0, 1. So I'm going to go start out with 0 and then go up to 1 and put a point. 2, 5. So I'm going to go over to 2 and then up to 5 and put a point. All right, so I just graphed my table. All right, so something here, you can see this makes a line, and this is called a linear equation. Because think about it, we could have chose any numbers, right? I could have chose 1. 2 times 1 is 2, plus 1 is 3. That would have been 1, 3, right? So that also could have been on this dot. So to show that there's multiple lines or more answers, we can draw a line, connect our dots, and then we want to draw an arrow at the end of each side of the line, because this line can keep going on. We could have chose 4 for an answer, or 5, right? So we want to connect our dots and draw arrows on it, and it shows that it keeps going on forever and ever and ever in both directions. Okay? All right, this over here is called a mapping. So mapping is just basically this table, and it's rewritten like this. Our x values are always on our left. Our y values are always on the right. The x values are our input. That's what we input it in. So we input it in -2, and we got -3 for our output. Our input was 0. We got 1 for our output. Our input was 2, we got 5 for our output, right? So that's all a mapping is. This arrow just connects your pairs, okay? All right, let's go to the next one. Let's see how we can do these. All right, so on this one, they gave us a graph, and we have to make a table, a map, and then find the rule. Okay, so to find a graph, when we have to make a table, we just gotta find some points that are on this line. So I see a good point to use right here. And that is my x value is 0, and my y value is 3, because it's halfway between 2 and 4. So 0, 3. I see another good point here. I could use this one over here, right? So my x value is 6, my y value is 0 on that one, because it's on the x-axis. It didn't go up or down. So let's find another good point. So a good point, I see a really good one right here. It kind of crosses through this grid and right through the T. And that's a good point to use, because that way we don't have decimal numbers. Like I wouldn't choose this, because that's like halfway between these two lines, right? So this is on 2 and 2, okay? So I have my table. So let's make our mapping. Well, 0 is paired with 3. Remember, our x values are on the left, y values on the right. My 6 is paired with 0, and my 2 is paired with 2. So now for the rule, I got to figure out which equation makes these true. So I'm going to plug in these numbers and see what makes true. So let's plug in 0 for the first one. 2 times 0 would be 0, plus 3 would be 3. That works. All right, so let's plug in the next one, 6. 2 times 6 would be 12. 12 plus 3 would be 15. That doesn't match. Not answer. So let's plug in the next one, B. So 0, negative 2 times 0 is 0. 0 plus 3 would be 3. That works. So now I can plug in my 6. Negative 2 times 6 would be negative 12. Negative 12 plus 3 will give me negative 9. Doesn't match my answer. No good. All right, my next one, a half. A half of 0 is 0, plus 3 is right. Okay, so we're good. So now let's try the next one. 1/2 times 6. 1/2 of 6 is 3. 3 plus 3 is 6. Doesn't work. So it has to be D. And the reason why it's D is negative 1/2. Negative 1/2 times 6 would be negative 3. And negative 3 plus 3 gives me 0. If I plugged in 2, negative half times 2 would be negative 1. Negative 1 plus 3 would be 2. So it works for all my ordered pairs. So that is my answer. So my rule is y equals 1/2 x. Oh, sorry, negative 1/2 x plus 3. Okay? All right, let's go on to the last one. This one, they gave us a table, and now we're going to graph it and make a mapping and then find the rule. All right, so let's try it. 0, negative 4. So 0, negative 4. 0 means I stay there. Negative 4 means I go down to negative 4. 1, negative 1. I'm going to go over to 1, up or down to negative 1. 2, 2. I'm going to go over to 2 and then up to 2. And then once I have my points, I can connect my points and make my line. And make my arrows on the end of my lines. All right, my mapping is just my x values on my left and my y values on my right. So 0 is matched with negative 4, 1 is matched with negative 1, and 2 is matched with 2. So now I got to find my rule, right? So I can plug it in. So let's start, I always start with 0 because that's the easiest. 3 times 0 is negative 4, that works. So let's plug in the next one, 3 times 1. 3 times 1 is 3, minus 4 is negative 1, that works. All right, so let's try my next one. 3 times 2 would be 6. 6 minus 4 is 2. That works for all of them, so it is A. First guess, look at that. So my rule is y equals 3x minus 4. All right, so that is how we go from table to graph to equation to mapping. All right, and that is super important in algebra, and we're going to keep practicing with this as we go on throughout the year. All right, if you ever have any questions, please ask a teacher. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.